Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm Lada from Astrolada.com, and today I'm here with Australian Shamanic Astrologer Kesenya. Am I pronouncing your name right?
Perfectly, Lada. Yeah. It's lovely to be here, and thank you. It's really exciting to be your Australian representative. Have you ever been to Australia?
No, I'd love to though. One day soon, when the baby is a bit older.
Come and visit me. We have the best stargazing in the world down here, you know.
The sky must look different than here up in the upper hemisphere.
Well,
And the seasons are all mixed up there.
Not at all. We're wonderful. No, actually, you probably know this already, but the solar system sits above the galactic plane. So I don't know if you can see me doing my little example here, but when you've got my little fist is the Earth, and you're in the northern hemisphere, you're looking up out to other galaxies. But when you're in the southern hemisphere, you're looking down onto the Milky Way stars. So they are actually quite incredible, really amazing.
So that's why it's the best place to watch, you say. Oh my God, okay. So we're looking kind of in an empty space here in the north while you're looking at the action there in the south.
That's right. You're looking out to all the other galaxies and we're looking down at ours. It's pretty cool. I love
it. Humbling experience.
Come and see. We actually have less light pollution as well because we're less populated. So, so they're quite spectacular. You know, you can always feel like you can touch them. They're amazing stars down here.
Wow, I'll come specifically for that now. I never knew that. But I wanted to say to people how I met you. Like, we've had emails before, and in one email you sent me a stunning story, a personal story of yours, because you said that your Venus, the planet of love, is really fucked up. Sorry for the expression, but has a lot of difficult aspects. One of them is a difficult aspect from Saturn, and that you always blamed yourself and you thought that you're doing something wrong in relationship or that you're a bad person in relationships in past lifetimes. But what you wrote, what you discovered about your past lives in regards to this aspect really stunned me. Can you tell us this story? And this is what actually drew me so much to you, because you gave a totally different perspective on the difficult aspects to the planets of love and houses of love, which actually is super empowering. And I got goosebumps when I read your story, and I said, I have to work with this lady. She knows her stuff and she knows it from a higher perspective. Like, can you tell me the story, please? I think our viewers, especially people that have problems in love, that have hurt love relationships, hurtful, painful all their life with repeating patterns, I think they'll find it extremely empowering, because usually we as astrologers give very bad rap to difficult aspects to Venus. We almost make the person feel bad that it's their fault for their difficult relationship. But what you discovered was something amazing. Can you tell us the story?
Well, I'll start by saying I practice all sorts of astrology, but I'm very interested in shamanic astrology. And one of the things I love about it is that there is it's very yin yang, and it incorporates the good and the bad as both being relevant. So it's not bad and it's not good. You know, do you know what I mean? Light and dark, male, female, everything is equal. So I don't see Saturn as this horrible planet out to get you kind of thing.
Punisher, like the Punisher, like we usually, like other astrologers do. Yeah,
that's true. So my chart is a shit relationship chart, but I've got Mercury, which is my 5th house lord and 7th house lord, together with Venus, the planet of relationships, all with Saturn smashed in Cancer. So it's really not very pleasant. But and I've always struggled with relationships. All my friends would, have boyfriends left, right, and center, and I just never happened for me. But then I had this karmic interaction with my ex-husband, and we had a lot of stuff to work out, so that happened. But for me, with the story you're talking about, in my past life, I'm not sure how much detail I should go into, Lada, but
yes, please go.
Yeah.
Please go.
Okay, great.
Can I ask you what witnessed that past life It wasn't told to you by someone, you witnessed it.
Oh, no. Look, I did about 5 years ago, I did a past life regression. And in that past life regression, I saw myself as an American Indian little girl of about 6 years old who was being raised by her grandmother, because I'm assuming the parents had died or something had happened. So there was no parental role. And this little girl was taken to be a slave, basically, in the house of a white family, and was subjected to just horrific abuse of every kind that you can imagine. And so when, as a sort of a young woman, I was able to come back to my tribe, you know, there was a lot of, obviously going to be a terrible amount of hurt and emotional trauma, and I don't think I dealt with it appropriately in that lifetime. So when I've come into this lifetime, I believe Saturn is with Venus as a form of protection for my soul, because relationships and sex and that sort of thing were so fucked up in my traumatic and hurtful in my past life.
You were used as a sex slave basically in that household, weren't you? You even felt like there was no love, no gratitude. They just used you as an object, and they beat you up. That's horrendous stuff. Yeah,
absolutely horrendous. And we all know, horrible though it is, there are many young women and men as well who are subjected to such horrible things in this day and age as well. So, you know, it does happen. And Saturn came there as a protector for me to, I believe, in my chart, he's with Venus not to punish me or, you know, I've done bad things in past lifetimes, so therefore now I'm going to suffer, you know, difficulty with relationship. It's more of a protection. Able me to, I don't know, deal with my shit, deal with the emotions and deal with the trauma and the hurt and process that appropriately in this lifetime, so that releases his karmic grip, then maybe I will be able to do relationship in a healthy way, or have healed the hurts. Do you know what I mean?
That makes it hard, but it's also protecting you because you were so horrendously hurt in past lifetime.
That's right.
And
that's exactly
those walls to distance you. And Saturn is known, when it's conjunct with Venus, a person's love life is dry. It's like it starves that planet, or starves the ruler of the 7th house, and you have it both, and the 5th house of love and 7th house. And it's this starvation was a way of self-preservation from you. But
exactly right.
With age and experience, you seem to be working through those issues. You chose this lifetime to actually heal yourself from that trauma and pain and fears.
That's right. I mean, this lifetime has been just one of massive, massive transformation. I've gone from a very restricted upbringing to being completely 180-degree opposite and liberated in terms of how I see the world and how I function in the world. So there's a lot of soul transformation happening in this lifetime, and a lot of it's, I believe, partly to do with Saturn and Venus, and that position. Difficult though it is, in, you know, when we all desire relationship, it's hard when it's not manifesting for you, or, you know, you're a bit lame in that area. You stiffen up when you're interacting with the opposite sex, or, you know, someone that you find attractive. So that's frustrating, but
you become unnatural almost. You know, Saturn with the planets of love, or the 7th house, or the 5th house, or the rulers, or Venus, makes you like very natural, stiff, and fearful. Like, yes, but there is a reason for you. It's not because you're a bad person, because you're lame, because you're a loser. There is a reason that this planet protected you in a past lifetime. It helped you kind of almost compartmentalize that thing, and, you know, and
absolutely. And it was so empowering to discover this about Saturn and Venus in my horoscope, because prior to that, I'd be like, what's wrong with me? I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not this enough. And there was a real lack of self-worth. But once I discovered this in astrology, it was like, wow, there's a reason, and it's not about who I am in this lifetime, it's about protection. So there's nothing wrong with me, and that's okay, you know, through the direction that my soul has to take this lifetime to heal, to grow, to become more empowered. So I'm grateful for it. I mean, it sounds stupid, but I am really grateful because it's helping me to become a better soul, or grow my soul, I should say, not a better soul.
Absolutely wonderful story. And just with Saturn, yes, as you said, many people that have Saturn with Venus have very poor self-worth, and they'll give in relationships more, and Saturn difficult aspects to 7th house or any relationship planets, you know, the person just sometimes, especially while younger, allows themselves to be treated badly by others because they don't feel deserving, and they're attracted from the outside. And it's helped you with age, actually, when you accepted it, when you saw this, when there was an acceptance, it healed. The healing process started, that it's not you who is the bad.
Exactly. That's exactly, and that word acceptance it's the key, you know, like we all have this amazing, unique energy to shine in this lifetime through our horoscope and our chart. And, you know, if we can accept what we're here to shine, and then we grow, we glow, we are being who we're meant to be. And that's, again, another reason I like shamanic astrology, because it embraces every energy, you know, like people say, oh, Scorpio moon, oh, scary. But it's actually beautiful, and there's reasons for that, and often karmic reasons. And you know, every aspect is valuable, and that's why I love doing astrology, seeing those beautiful energies in people.
And it seems that shamanic astrology takes a higher perspective from what you are saying, not light and darkness. It's like from above, because God, or the creator, created both the light and the darkness. And it's kind of like looking from that perspective and trying to see it from the one-eyed rather than two-eyed.
Exactly. It's very well, at the turning of the ages which we're at now, you know, we're moving from a very restricted kind of worldview to a much more Aquarian, liberated kind of worldview. And shamanic astrology really aligns with that, because it's more accepting of every relationship walk of life, or expression of astrological energy. I'll use that term. I hope people know what I mean by that.
No,
yeah, it's sorry.
And I was asking you about, before we started this interview, I asked you about the shamanic perspective on Pluto, difficult aspect to Venus, or the 7th house. And you have Pluto in the 7th house as well, which is another difficult configuration, which you accept like love, almost like you are being abused somehow, because Pluto is a planet of some kind of a darker experience. And I remember I have Pluto opposition Venus, and from very young age had very dark sexual fantasies. I didn't even know what sex was, but I had, maybe it has something to do with abuse from past lifetimes, but something horrendous, and it would excite me. And I thought, like, I felt so dirty, and I felt so, how can I, especially when I started understanding what sex is, and how can I imagine such things that they would excite me. And you said something about Pluto. I asked you from the shamanic perspective, how do you heal difficult Pluto aspects to Venus or to relationship chart? And you said Pluto is, while it's hidden, it festers and it gets bad. But if you put it out there, you heal it. So I started sharing with my partners, the older I got, those darker fantasies, not to make them, but not to find, not because I thought I was so dirty for having them, or for having such. And when I started sharing them, and when I started being open and honest about them, taking them out of the secret compartment in me, because it started healing. I don't have such kind of darker, ideas anymore, or attraction to such things. So can you said you're going to talk today about looking at relationship from the shamanic perspective. We've been talking about that already, how Saturn it is, but can you take the stage now and you lead us through a more higher understanding of relationships through this amazing astrology called shamanic astrology?
Yeah, well, first of all, I probably should explain a bit about shamanic astrology to start with, Lada. The school of shamanic astrology that I have studied, actually, it comes out of probably Stephen Forrest's evolutionary astrology. It's kind of a branch of that. But the whole, what shamanism is that it's nature and the cycles of nature and working with what they see happening in the skies and also in the world around them. You know, they would things like totem animals or spirit animals and those sorts of things. So it's a very holistic approach. So this stream of shamanic astrology, it's come out of evolutionary astrology process, but it's all encompassing of sort of ritual and shamanic heritage as well. So it's a combination of a few different things.
So it's not only astrology, it's also reading omens and what happens when you first meet someone on that day, maybe getting signs from different things, not just and from the cycles from nature. Okay, I get it now.
Yeah, archetypes, that sort of thing. Because I mean, the Australian Indigenous culture, they recently found some artifacts in Arnhem Land, which is the north of Australia, that were 65,000 years old. And so this culture is just like, and other shamanic cultures around the world, so old, you know, and they always use the stars to, oh, it's time to go pick berries, or this particular animal will now be coming out of hibernation. And they use the indications in the stars to follow those things. But in those cultures, they didn't write down, you know, and pass things on through a written tradition. They used stories and oral tradition, really. So, yeah, so a lot of the knowledge is very ancient, but it's been lost through time as well, because it is
Australia
so old.
was part of Lemuria, the Lemurian civilization, which was way more peaceful and spiritual than the Atlantean one. The Atlantean was more military and warrior-like. Well, the Lemurian was very chill, just like Australian people are quite chill. So maybe the energy of the land there is still emitting those vibrations from the Lemurian civilization.
I hope so, Lada. But you know what? It's interesting. I've come across a number of my friends who've also had past life regressions, and that they were actually Indian people in America as well, traumatized through the coming of the white people. And that happened to Australian culture, Australian Aboriginals here as well. But it's interesting that a lot of my friends have come back in this lifetime here in Australia, and in sort of the more rural areas. It's almost like this is a safe place for our traumatized souls. You know, it's kind of weird, but
our new land where we recoup, safe away from the.
That's right, where we pull ourselves back together again. Yeah. But what I wanted to talk about today, sorry about that diversionary pass there. I could talk about this sort of stuff with you for ages. I love it.
I love it too.
I wanted to talk about the idea in this school of shamanic astrology of why we bother to do relationships, why we go there. You know, what's the bottom line for us in relationships? And look, there are many nuances and factors in relationship. You know, you look for what your emotional needs are in a relationship through the moon. You look for the kind of partner that you want in sort of the male Venus, and for the female Mars, and then what's the seventh house Lord doing? Is the seventh house healthy or not? And all those other, you know, nuances that to what you're looking for in a relationship perspective. But what I want to talk about today is what we call the relationship axis, which is about why do relationships? What is your intent with this lifetime? And that's seen by as an axis, or we call it the relationship axis. So if you have, for example, I have Pisces on rising, is in the 7th house. And you Lada would have Aquarius rising, so Leo is in the 7th house, and so on around the chart. So it's that particular axis, just to make sure people know and can identify what's my axis. Go to Lada's birth chart calculator and find out what your axis is.
Yeah, find the ascendant sign. Always your relationship sign will be the one opposite. Are you going to walk us through all the signs?
Would you like me to?
Yes, because people love to hear about each of their ascendant and their relationship axis. This is wonderful. Okay.
Okay, right, let's do it. All right, well, I'm going to start with Pisces because we always wait till last.
I know.
We're so patient.
And you in Australia do everything backwards, so you're at the other end of the world, and water spins in the other direction. You see the stars differently, and the seasons are backwards. So start with Pisces. Yes.
Exactly. So we're going to go backwards. So we'll start with Pisces and Virgo, or you can flip it around, Virgo on the Ascendant and Pisces in the 7th house. So this is the axis of what we term. And I've just got to say, when I was a young girl, this was not my interest whatsoever. Like the Virgo Pisces axis and the intent for a relationship. If you had said, this is your intent for a relationship, this is what's going to satisfy you most in a relationship, I would have said, no way, I want romance and flowers and all this other crazy stuff. Now as I've matured and grown and had a relationship and realized this is what actually really does satisfy me most of all in relationship. And what it is with Pisces Virgo, it's a sharing of the sacred work. We'll use that term. Probably step back a bit and explain what the sacred work is. It's not getting up and going to your job every day and you've got to share that together. That's not it at all. It's what Carl Jung talks about the sacred work as being in the morning, what fills you with joy and a reason to get up and live. And for some people that might be creating a beautiful garden, you know, in their spare time or on weekends. That's what makes them feel alive. Or for some people it might be helping refugees assimilate into society, or other people it might be, you know, mopping the floor at McDonald's. Who knows, like what will do it for some people, but it gives you that sense of joy. And for example, you might be very spiritually inclined to be an art therapist and want to establish an art therapy clinic. And you meet somebody and they're a yoga teacher and they want to establish a yoga clinic, but you've both got this goal of helping people through art therapy or through yoga. So different, but your underlying sacred work is to help people process their emotions and be empowered. So that's your joint sacred work. Does that make sense? Have I explained that?
So it's like giving highest service is the axis of Pisces and Virgo in the purpose, the evolutionary purpose for relationships. What their soul wants in this lifetime is to co-partner with someone to create some service.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly. And so you have this sacred work, and and you have this same intent, and you can share. And look, if you told me that when I was younger, I would have been like, no way. But it is actually what I enjoyed most, and what I miss most now about my former relationship was that component of it where we worked together. We like to renovate houses and stuff. That was the connection that we had of sort of similar work. My ex-husband is a very successful rockabilly performer, and that was his deep down sacred work. You know, he loved to perform and has a stellium in the 1st house, so it's all about here I am and watch me on stage, and he's very good at it. And not knowing my own soul's sacred work at that time, I invested in his, helping him to become that, rather than sharing having the same goal. So it's really important, if you've got this axis, Virgo Pisces or Pisces Virgo, that you learn to understand yourself and do some self-exploration to find out what makes your soul sing, what is important for you. And for me, I've got Neptune on the midheaven and Jupiter rising. It's anything spiritual, anything creative. That's what makes me sing. But it's taken me a few years to really come to grips with that and embrace my own, so to speak. Yeah. So that's that. Hope I've covered that one. Okay. And the next one back. This is yours, Lada. Aquarius Leo. This one is my favorite. I love this axis because they're highly individual signs. You know, Aquarius is very a solo, like I'm okay in my own skin, and Leo is very similar when they're manifesting at a high level.
Yes,
the independent,
both are very autonomous. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, so they actually these two signs, when manifesting at a high level, they don't need partnership to fulfill themselves or to feel valuable or to validate who they are. They're not looking for partnership to money or for to procreate or to
complete them.
don't need someone else to complete them. But when they find a partner, go off, and it's like, yeah, you I choose to be with you because I just love who you are. So it's a relationship that comes from choice. And so the bottom line with this relationship axis is that will empower and lift up your individuality. And you know what, I hear you talk about your current partner, and yes, he's fabulous with little Kai and really a great daddy and everything. But I also see him empowering your individuality and supporting you in your individuality, Lada, through the and that's something I would say with your relationship axis that's important to you, that someone is supportive of your uniqueness and your particular unique identity.
Yeah, it's so true, because when I look back at my previous marriage as well, my partner was all about trying to make me independent, because I was this very codependent, and I'm like, you're gonna work, I'm gonna stay at home mom. And he said, no, you're gonna become independent. I will help you with the business, I'll help you, but it's gonna be your thing. I don't want you to be one half of me. I want you to be your whole, your own independent thing. This is stunning what you're saying, because it's exactly what my two most important relationships have led to, and quite non-codependent relationships, autonomous. Each one is their own person, and each one helps the other be their own person. Wonderful. That's very, I've never thought of that. Thank you. Wonderful and very different perspective.
And have you valued that in your relationships? Like, is that a component of your relationships that's really important to you?
Absolutely. I don't want to change my partners. I want to empower my partners and make them more of who they are. I've never even once tried to make someone fit what I want, have a vision for a partner. No, I want them, the uniqueness to shine out. This is so true. You're very correct. Yeah.
So so I love that one, that axis, because it's all about choice and being together to empower another. It's very beautiful. You're lucky. So the next one back is Capricorn. Here we go. Capricorn, Cancer. This one is probably, there's been two styles of relationship throughout the last few thousand years that have been the predominant kind. One is the whole family, community, procreation type, and the other is, more recently, is the romance and flowers and riding off into the sunset kind of relationship. So they're the two main ones that have been done. But as I said, at this turning of the ages, we're embracing more different relationship, more different ways of doing relationship, and more and different values in relationship. So it's exciting times from a relationship perspective. But Capricorn, Cancer, or Cancer, Capricorn. So you've got, which is all about the provider, the role in society, the community worker, like the person who's all about, they're standing in the community. And on the opposite side, you've got Cancer, which is nurturer, family, home, offerer of guidance to others, that kind of a role. And
like
together,
they're two pillars of society, in a sense.
Totally are. Yeah, and so we call this one the householder axis, because their intent and their purpose is to create a household and to be pillars of society. But it's interesting, at this turning of the ages, as I keep referring to that, I think we've been moving into Aquarius for quite some time now, looking at social media and everything. Like, we're in Aquarius, I believe. I don't know. You think we're in Aquarius already?
I think we're at the dawn of Aquarius, but yeah, I do believe it's become so Aquarian in the last progressively over the last 100 years, and in the last 20 years, my God.
Exactly, yeah. So at this time, particular axis is learning to do relationship in a whole new dynamic way. So, for example, you know, you might be a young couple who chooses never to have children, but you've got 3 dogs, and that's your family, that's your household. Or, you know, you're a gay couple that has, you know, adopts a child, or, you know, your family might be working with refugees in society. So, but you're not interested in having any children of your own. So there are different ways of doing this householder axis, but that's your bottom line for relationship. You want to have that beautiful, welcoming, supportive home and community environment. That's what's important to you in your partnership. Mm-hmm. My best friend has this one, actually. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I've noticed people with this axis, they like the traditional way of family. You know, we're moving into Aquarius, but they would take the traditional, maybe do it a bit in a new way, but still incorporate the traditional. They like the traditional relationships as well.
100% yes. My best friend has this axis, and her partner is the provider. He goes to work every day and she is with the children, but she's actually taking a really different approach to the whole child raising dynamic. Her children are what she calls unschooled, and they run quite wild and free and explore whatever they want to explore. One week, oh, we're interested in gold panning, right, let's go gold panning and learn about that. And the next week they're like, oh, I want to learn about makeup artistry. Okay, let's go and explore makeup artistry. So it's a very organic way of doing. And this is her homeschooling, I guess you'd call it, practice as well. So she's doing that traditional family life, but in a quite a different, radical new way. Yeah, so it's beautiful, really beautiful. So that's the Capricorn Cancer axis. And next, Sagittarius Gemini. Okay, or Gemini Sagittarius. Well, I mean, look at these two archetypes. Free spirits, both of them. They're both on a quest to discover their truth, to learn more, to grow in their knowledge and freedom and adventure. And that's what this axis is all about. So for this one, we refer to this axis as the axis of the trail mate or the quest mate. And there, with this axis, there needs to be a lot of freedom, Lada. They need to be able to do their own thing and explore their own, say, spirituality or their own, their life quest for truth in their own way. I have a client, and I don't think she'd mind me sharing this, but she lives in Melbourne and she's a teacher. And her partner is in Singapore, and they get together, I don't know, every 6 months or so. But they've got this really, they Skype each other every day. They're very supportive of each other's personal quest for what they want to achieve in life, and yet long distance, and it's a long-term, long-distance relationship that just works for them. So, for this axis is allowing each other freedom to be who you are, but loving each other and supporting each other.
This is so funny because my best friend is Sagittarius Ascendant, and she says, like, I want a man that will travel a lot. So we can both travel a lot, or he'll travel a lot, so I have time on my own as well. And I can do my own. Yeah,
freedom. But being supported in that as well, like having someone who lives in your, go and learn all about, Buddhism at the local temple or whatever your quest happens to.
Exploration, that's kind of the key word.
Exploration, perfect. Yeah, so that's what this one is all about, and that's what will make people's soul sing in relationship, is when they're getting that sort of thing. I should actually point out that it's not necessary for two partners to have the same axis, as long as being you need from your partnership. So, you know, your partner may not have a Aquarius Leo axis, but he is providing thing for you. So don't go looking for someone who's got the same axis because you think that's what you need. Find someone who can support for intent is and help you with that. Is that?
I like that.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. Okay, so where are we up to? We've got Sagittarius, Scorpio, Taurus. This is the sexy axis, this one. With Taurus, you've got have a person who's very in the physical realm, and everything is tactile, everything is 5 senses. So they respond to things that they can touch, taste, see, smell, hear, all that stuff. They're very physical realm. And on the polaric opposite, you've got Scorpio, which is the emotional realm, and they respond to things, to life on a very deep inner emotional level. And so they're kind of polaric opposites, but they complement each other. And it's the bottom line, the path to God, or the intent, is to, we use this term, to experience life force energy, which is basically through the physical connection. So obviously touch is very important on this axis for people, and sex. So if you've got this axis and your sex life sucks, you really need to get to a counselor ASAP, because it will bust apart your relationship if you don't have that good connection with your partner. It's really difficult for people with this axis to do relationship without a strong
and sexual, spirit, physical and psychological intimacy.
That's right, because it's through that, like, that is the spiritual aspect of sex is their superpower. What charges their batteries? It's what gives them energy, so to speak, and they need that to feel alive and to feel joy. And if they haven't got that in relationship, then with this more liberated time that we live in, that this axis, the axis is, this one struggles perhaps to do long-term 60-year marriage type style. They can be more serial monogamy, or other versions of relationship. But if they're undertaking that at a very with a good deal of maturity,
they can profound intimacy if they do. I guess this is the sign that can experience really big depths in the relationship, physical and emotional.
Yes.
Like Taurus and Scorpio. I guess I have a horny little bugger at home as a baby, so I have to start teaching him that sex is primary in relationships, and in order for you to be happy, you need to have a good sex life, my mom. No, mommy.
I'm sure he will one day.
I have a handful there.
No, he'll be beautiful, but it's feeling that, like, you know what I mean by life force energy, like that empowerment through physical connection and spirit, and that spiritual connection with another. So it's a fun
wow, such an interesting perspective, Stella. Sorry, Kesenya. I was reading someone's comment called Stella, so I was but wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it. It's very different and it's very unique.
Yeah, well, it kind of like I said, there's subtle nuances from, you know, other aspects in the chart, but it gives a fuller picture, I suppose, of what we desire in relationship. So the last one, oh dear, poor Libra Aries. You know, my heart goes out. I have a Libra moon. In fact, I think Phil mentioned a few weeks ago about your astrologers. You've got 3 of them with moon on speaker in Libra. And Rochelle and Phil and I were laughing about, oh, we're Lada's angels, you know, because speaker's this angelic star, and we've all got moon there. Anyway, Phil's decided he's going to be Cameron Diaz, and I think
Charlie's Angels. Oh my God.
So Michelle's Drew Barrymore, and I'm always very old school. So I'm Jacqueline Smith from the old 70s.
Sorry.
That's the point. So we've got Libra and Aries, and there's different signs. The other signs all have a connection, but Libra and Aries, like Aries is independent and free spirit and strong-willed and very determined, and Libra is very giving and they're relationship focused and they want to partner and work with someone. So there's almost a friction between the two because their signs are very, very opposite in a way. With this axis is all about learning to do life or learning to grow in life through partnership. And that means, yep, the butting heads and the friction that comes from an argument, or you know, and the lovey-dovey moments, the cuddles and the kisses and all the good stuff. So Libra Aries, the intent is to, well, for example, to grow Aries to a point where it will consider other people and think about other people and more relationship focused, and to tone perhaps Libra down a little and be a bit more independent and a bit less you know, dependent on relationship. So there's a evening out with this one, and the intent with this relationship access is your personal soul journey through relationship interaction itself. Is that?
My husband has that, so I'm listening with intensity here.
Yeah. So yeah, for him, relationship is all about becoming like empowered as a person through experience in a relationship capacity. So relationship for these people. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. I find this one the most difficult to
learn to balance between the codependence and total independence somehow, it seems to me.
Thank you.
Astrolada,
you're so brilliant with words.
Huh?
You're really brilliant with words. You're very succinct. Yeah.
Thank you. I have an awful Mercury. Oops.
Well, we're together with that one then.
Wow, that's so insightful. Thank you so much, Kesenya. I'm sure people are also enjoying it. I'm listening to that, and
yeah.
Wow. So that's different perspective, different and higher perspective, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, it is interesting, and it does give a lot more depth to, you know, to what I understand relationship to be. It's not all flowers and romance and so on. There's got to be a lot more long term to it than that. So yeah.
And when you consult clients, do you do predictions? Does Shamanic Astrology accept predictions as well?
Yes, I do. I don't actually call myself a shamanic astrologer. I actually draw from a number of
different
schools of thought.
Okay, good. So I'm not gonna label you only like that. Yeah.
No. I find this one really interesting because it does go to another level of depth, which I love. But you know, if I find something that works for me personally in my life, or works in the lives of my family and my clients that I see, then I'm going to use it, because why wouldn't you use something that works to empower people? I mean, the best astrologers serve as guides for other people in life, and I want to use whatever helps guide and empower people. So I've been, I had more time to really get into the nitty-gritty of studying Ernst Wilhelm's stuff. I've spent about a month.
That's one of my teachers. Yeah. If you learn astrology, you can do predictions so well as well.
Yeah.
It's very complicated. Yeah. It's very complicated, but because I like simplifying things with my Aries energy, I take the things that really work in practice that are very easy, rather than the small calculations that uses amazingly small calculations. But yeah, you wanted to share one of the that you found that works really well. Can you tell us?
Yes. I one of Ernst's predictive methods. Now, I hope I can explain this right. I haven't sort of how I'll say it for you, but basically, you look at what's coming up in a person's life, and if you've got, I think it's 4 or more planets, fourth house from themselves. Does that clear? Like you've got 4 or more of your planets going to be 4 signs from their natal position. It indicates a period of life when 4th house things are going to be really important to you. Or if you've got 4 planets that are 7 houses from their natal position, that is a period of life when relationships are going to, manifest or be important to you in some manner.
Can you give me an example?
Or if you've got,
can you give me an example?
All right. In January coming, I'm really looking forward to this, or testing this theory. I will be having, I think, Venus. It's got to be the visible planets.
The 7 traditional
Jupiter
from the moon. Yeah.
Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, and I'm trying to think of the other one. I think it might be Mars. They're going to be 7 from their natal position.
So basically, I'll try to draw it here.
So, thank you.
Say this is, I'll try to put the houses as well. Oops. I know it's a bit lame, but 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I want to show it visibly to people so we can all understand it. And because it looks like a very simple technique that everyone can do. Oops.
It's a simple technique, which is why I love it. It's great. It's easy to use. Unlike you, I need to see things visibly to be able to really get it in my head. Okay, so thank you for this.
What house is your Mars in? What sign or house, whatever? Oh, the planets.
Let's
give
go
me an example
with
of your chart, and let's
okay. I have Jupiter in the 1st house, so let's use Jupiter in the 1st.
And we're using call sign system here, guys. Call sign system. 1 sign equals 1 house.
That's right. So that's where it is when I was born, in the 1st house. So 7 signs from that around to number 7 is where it, hang on a minute. That's the house. It must be another planet. I should have looked this up beforehand for you later, but we'll use this as an example just the same. Jupiter's in the 1st house.
Yes.
And so in is it January he's moving into Sagittarius, I think?
Into Scorpio.
My mistake. Yeah. So he'll be in the 8th house. So he's natally in my 1st house. He'll be in Scorpio, which is the 8th house. And if there's 4 or more planets doing that similar thing, being in the 8th house, there's going to be an emphasis on 8th house.
Someone can die.
Yeah, someone can die. Or you might become
from your partner. Oh yeah, you can receive or for relationships, say but Jupiter is transiting, say you have Jupiter in the sign of Taurus in the birth chart. From October, Jupiter enters Scorpio. So Jupiter will be in the 7th sign from your Jupiter. Say you have Saturn if this is Taurus, this would be Gemini, this would be Cancer. Just very quickly want to do this would be Leo, that would be Virgo, that will be Libra, that would be Scorpio, that will be Sagittarius, that will be Capricorn, that will be Aquarius, and that will be Pisces, and that will be Aries. So say also that you have Mars here in Pisces, and say next year, the same time that Jupiter is in the 7th, Mars goes in Virgo by transit here.
Yes.
Okay. Say you have Saturn in Gemini in the birth, say in Cancer in the birth chart. From the end of this year, transiting Saturn will be in the opposite, the 7th from it. It will be Capricorn. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 examples of how planet being in the 7th position from its place would trigger relationships.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I should have prepared something to be able to help explain.
No, I love doing it because I'm learning much easier like that. Or say if your Jupiter is in the 2nd house, and next year is in the 1st house, and next year Jupiter would be transiting in the 2nd, while Saturn would be transiting in the 2nd from himself, say in Leo, while Mars would be transiting in Aries, the 2nd from itself, you can make money or something like that.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So 2nd house things. Exactly. So 10th house, your career is going to take.
Wow. I love it.
Or, you know, fabulous, fabulous predictive technique. And so simple, really.
Pregnant, 5th house from itself. When Jupiter is in the 5th sign from itself, when Saturn is in the 5th sign from itself. Oh, this is what happened for me.
Oh, really? It does work.
And that's when also Mercury, Venus, and the Sun were in the 5th sign from themselves that I got pregnant. Wow. Okay. That makes sense. Anyway, that's a great technique. I'm going to test it and see. Have you tested it? How does it work?
For me personally, I'll be testing it in January, see if anything happens relationship-wise. But I've seen it definitely in clients. Nothing as significant as what you've just described, getting pregnant, but certainly career things have taken off, or they get into a health routine when it's 6 houses from natal position. So I have seen it, but in perhaps a few more subtle ways than falling pregnant. Yeah, that's wonderful, Lada.
I'm going to start doing that. That's an easy technique and it can be amazingly helpful. Wow, I didn't know that one. Thank you. I love gathering such gems of information.
So do I. Yeah, no, it's a great technique. But yeah, so I do predictive techniques. I have Jupiter on the ascendant, so I tend to think big picture rather than like when Venus moves into, I don't know, where is it now? In Leo? When Venus moves into a new sign, it's like in Cancer. I don't feel those energies so much, you know. That's just me, because what I feel is, Saturn's in my 10th house. That's big, and I can feel those.
You feel the bigger energies.
Yeah. The little, you know, the nitty gritty kind of things. Yeah. So
I focus on those as well. I focus on Saturn and Jupiter, the big players. Absolutely, they like Saturn's been in my 11th house for the past 2 years. I have no social life, but 11th house is working towards your goals, and Saturn there has made me work very systematically, step by step, towards gainful goals and material goals. So that's been very productive for that, but no social life. It definitely covers the whole thing. The position of Saturn and Jupiter, just check those out and you can see so much in regards.
Absolutely. So you're coming up to 12th house next year, Saturn in your 12th house.
No sleep. Saturn in the 12th.
So that will be very interesting. Times coming to a sort of, I guess, an ending of something in life. Yeah.
Oh, I don't want anything to end in my life. Bad habits, but nothing else. For once, I love my life. My life, I didn't like it before. I was waiting, you know, like many people feel this. I'm waiting for my life to start. I didn't feel till last year that my life has started. I felt like still something has to happen for to start living. And for the first time, I feel this now, and it's great. And I don't want now things to end.
Good. Well, that's great. And you're on a roll. Very good.
Well, Kesenya is so lovely. I'd love to have you again here to chat for some interesting astrological techniques like you gave us. But Kesenya is going to be having a show on Astrolada channel. like astrological show where she'll be talking about personal. Can you tell us exactly personal stories and astrology?
Well, as we've mentioned, I've got Mercury in Cancer, and so therefore my communication style is is very personal. I love to tell stories to illustrate a point. So, I mean, you may have read some articles on the Facebook page, and they're always about, oh, this story and that story, and this is how it played out, and this is what the energies were doing. So that I'll be putting together will be telling stories that illustrate the various energies and dynamics of the solar system, the horoscope.
So people can learn through real life example. How are we going to call this? Real life astrology, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that will work. If anyone's got any suggestions for name ideas for the show, we'd love to get
or also
ideas.
if you have great personal stories of how transit works, send them to Kesenya. She can share you a story. Please do difficult ones and positive ones. Let's not totally terrify people. Because when I went to Pluto transit on a forum, it was like from death to total distraction to obsessive compulsive things. I'm like, I'm not reading that. I want to hear stories about empowerment.
Yeah, well, you know, my Pluto square ladder was upheaval because, you know, Pluto's the psychological inner planet, takes you into the psychological depths, and it did cause a lot of upheaval, but the result of it was so much empowerment. It's been just amazing. You know, it was traumatic, and I wouldn't go through it again, but I'm so grateful for having gone through it and what it's brought to my life. So there's, like I said, there's no, it's yin and yang, no light and dark. There's no, nothing is essentially bad. It's all part of helping our soul to grow and mature and to reach higher vibrational levels or other levels of consciousness. So
basically the ultimate goal even of the difficult transit is to take us to a place of more happiness, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. I mean, look at when they got the first pictures back of Pluto. What did we see on the side of the planet? Was this shape, this love heart shape on the side of Pluto. I mean, his ultimate goal is to a better place and to empower us. He actually does love us, much as we might doubt that sometimes. Wow. Yeah, so nothing to be afraid of. If we can bring our fears and subconscious to the surface, then there's nothing for him to have to transform. What happened with me, if we got time for this, if I quickly talk about my Pluto square?
Yes, go on.
Do we have time?
Yes.
When my Pluto square occurred, I also had Saturn in the same house as the moon, which is a difficult physically manifested transit, but it busted my relationship, busted apart. And for years, we all know relationships are a big...
Pluto squared opposed your Venus, or what did it do?
It squares my Venus and my Saturn and all my relationship planets. So it's very connected to my relationship planets. But when it, so that's natally, when it had reached its square position, my marriage ended, and what I had been shoving down for, my marriage lasted 10 years. What I'd been shoving down for 10 years in that relationship was, I'm so disappointed, I'm so unhappy in this relationship. I hadn't even acknowledged it to myself. And when Pluto squared itself, that all came to the surface, and I, you know, I was like, oh yeah, I've been denying my feelings about this relationship, denying my hurts in this relationship. And therefore, when Pluto did its square, that's what it brought up, the things that I was keeping hidden, hidden even from myself in a way.
Yeah.
And it brought those things to the surface. So if you want to have a cruisy Pluto square, explore your, you know, what are you denying in yourself? What are you not acknowledging in your deep down, your feelings and your emotions and your subconscious? bring that out, bring that to the surface. Go and discuss with your partner, hey, look, I'm not happy and this is disturbing me, blah, blah, blah. Nothing to have to transform when everything is brought out into the light.
Wow. So curtains down. No, curtains off.
Curtains up. Hands up.
Yeah.
Transform. Yeah. When everything has been brought out into the light. So, yeah.
Well, it's a bit ruthless. Like Scorpio is ruthless when they say whatever they think to people. You know, they tell it straight. So I guess that's what Pluto demands from us when it's around. We're brutally honest somehow with ourselves and with others and put things out in the open. Rather than trying to be pleasant and not to disturb others or self, Pluto's not going to allow that. It sounds.
No.
Wow.
No, he's about empowering our sense of self-will. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a good, healthy sense of self-will. I read just the other day, you can't transcend your ego. You know how a lot of spiritual teachings are all about leave the ego behind and, you know, rise above your ego and that sort of thing. I think, Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about that. But you can't do that unless you first realize that you've got an ego and that you have desires, and you honor the fact that, yeah, I've got desires and that I've got an ego. So those things first that enable you to then progress beyond.
Yes, that makes sense. And what if you say leave your ego? Like, big deal. Like, it means nothing to me. Leave your ego behind, transcend your ego. It has to be more visceral. It sounds like very nice thing to do, but how do you do that? You know?
Well, in Eckhart Tolle's case, he would say, you know, you're living in the present moment. Observe yourself being present in this moment that you're in. I highly recommend his. Have you read his books?
Yeah, I did. But you see, I'm very stubborn. Yeah. Nothing makes me change. Pluto will. I've been waiting for a change so much on a deep transformational level. I read all the spiritual books and I'm like, that makes sense. And I keep living the way I'm living and being a bit obsessive, dark, compulsive, and self-destructive in many ways. But Pluto's gonna, I'm looking forward now to Pluto, finally, for real, true transformation. I think the only true changes can happen when Pluto is around. The ones that are long-lived and ones that are enduring changes that are on a deep level that you're not masking on the top or forcing yourself to do it. Kind of, it comes naturally from within this transformation somehow.
It does. And not every generation gets to experience a Pluto square. So, you know, we've manifested in this lifetime in order to experience this particular soul transformation. So, you know, let's go with it. I think some people what is really interesting, if I live to 90, I'm going to experience a Pluto opposition, which I'm like, oh my God, what's that going to entail at 90? I'll tell you when I get there.
Didn't Pluto also oppose your Venus and Mercury?
It squares my Venus and Mercury.
No, by transit.
Oh, yeah, it would have. Where is it now? He's in Capricorn. Yeah, he's doing that at the moment. So, I've got my Mercury, Venus, and Saturn in Cancer, and he's in Capricorn. So yeah, he's passed over the degrees that would have created that opposition.
Yes.
Yeah, which it's been very liberating. You know, I used to be someone who was very, I need a relationship. That's my one focus. I mean, my moon is in Libra, so my emotional desire is relationship. And nowadays I'm like, no, don't want relationship unless it's perfect or not perfect, unless it's got access that I need. I'm not just going to run into a relationship just for the sake of it. And I'm
kind of to make more empowered choices in regards to relationships.
And that's what that empowerment and sense of self-will and self-confidence with regard to relationships. So, you know, he's been a a good egg in the long run.
Wow, thank you so much, Kesenya. You've been wonderful. I learned a lot of new things. Hopefully our viewers also learned a lot of new things. I'm looking forward to watch your astrology, personal life story astrology, where you show how transits affect people and what happened in their life, and people can learn astrology this way, and they to do their own predictions and to see their own expectations, you know. So that's a lot of exciting things in the process. And if you want a reading with Kesenya, she has very affordable prices. She's so personal. She'll probably get to the bottom of your personal life, and she's so sweet and healing with all this Cancer energy. It's the most healing, one of the most healing energy. So you can check out her readings, and you can come once or twice a month to the website, to the channel, to listen to Kesenya's stories and interesting techniques for prediction as well, and learn astrology together. Any final words?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful. It's been a real joy, and lovely to talk to you. I've long admired your teachings and your channel, so it's wonderful, a real privilege to be working with you and to be your Southern Hemisphere representative.
Oh, thank you so much. You see how wonderful the clients and the viewers are on Astrolada. It fascinates me all the time. We must be doing something right, because people are just fantastic. They're so intelligent. And you always get asked the best questions and the best discussions in the chat room, and I often get distracted just reading the discussions and the comments, but it's wonderful. We're blessed. I'm grateful all the time.
Comments after this session, and to getting some stories from people about their experiences.
Thank you so much, guys. You can send your stories to Kesenya from her personal link on her profile, astrolada.com. And and she'll contribute to the world by helping us see, not fear, astrology transits, showing us how difficult transits can bring amazing results. Thank you so much. I love you all. Thank you, Kesenya. And have a great week, everyone.